My clock is reading right on the hour. First, welcome. And I'm Walt. And I am running the Pervious Concrete Cylinder Competition this fall at the ACI Concrete Convention in Philadelphia. And I am a member of ACI Committee 522. And thank you to ACI for giving us the opportunity to do this ahead of time. Hopefully, help out all of the student teams, prevent mistakes before they happen. And yeah, everybody can learn a whole bunch and have a great time at the same time. So this is what we're going to be talking about. Keep it relatively brief. We'll open up for questions at the end. Um, we've been running the competition for, I believe the first time we ran it was in 2010. So we've done it quite a few times, hopefully worked out most of the bugs at this point. But we'll address Committee 522 to start. A competition overview, what are we doing, where to look, and then talk about things that have caused some issues previously. First, what is Committee 522? It is the ACI technical committee that's focused on pervious concrete. It meets typically on Tuesday mornings of convention, usually at 8 a.m. In this case, we are actually starting with a mini session, which is kind of fun. A couple of quick presentations. In fact, I'm doing the first one to talk about this competition. So we're going to see, we're curious. We're used to in industry seeing the same mixes used in our particular regions. We'll usually end up with a mix or two that works, and we'll just stick with that and use it over and over again. And one of the fun things with the student competition is there's a whole bunch of stuff that we would never try or haven't tried, or that people from other regions bring in that's real interesting. So yeah, we've done that in the past where we've looked at some of the submissions and talked about them and looked at some of the data that comes out of the competition. So that's what we're going to do at the same convention. Maybe that should be a hot topic. So I don't know. It's okay. This gives me until Tuesday to get the presentation together instead of Sunday night. So that's good. But again, what is 522? It's a technical committee. There's different types of committees at ACI, committee structure. Technical committees are the ones that put together a lot of the documents that are spread around that hopefully people around the world use to learn about that topic. In this case, pervious concrete. What is pervious concrete? In case you aren't aware, it is a concrete with voids purposely included in the hardened concrete, um, built in while it's fresh, that hopefully provide enough interconnected voids so that water can freely pass through the ultimate material. The interconnected voids part is key because typical air entrainment in concrete puts voids in it for freeze thaw durability, but they aren't interconnected. So water can't actually pass through the material, not readily. Eventually it does, but not very quickly. In this case, we want water to pass through relatively quickly. Um, it's a stormwater best management practice. So it's a way to recharge aquifers. It actually provides some cleaning filtration, I guess, of the water as it moves through. So there's a bunch of benefits to it. Um, a lot of that is all of that hopefully is documented in our guide, in the 522 guide, which you can get on ACI's website. But yeah, so a group of us that are interested in pervious concrete experts from all over the world get together at convention on Tuesday morning and talk about pervious. And we'd love to have students come. We're open and love to at least have you attend and maybe even give us input, share your ideas, and join the committee. So yeah, hope to see you there. As of right now, it looks like we are in rooms 414 and 415, because that's where the mini session is, and that happens at the beginning of our meeting. That might change. We're pretty far ahead of convention right now. So just check your convention schedule. But what is our competition? First step, check the rules. You can go onto the ACI student webpage, concrete.org/students, and everything is there. Towards the bottom, you can scroll down and you see this rules category, and there's a little link there where it says here, click that, and it'll automatically grab a PDF version of the rules once you hit that link. The competition does take place in person at the convention, on Sunday morning, probably 9 a.m. Ultimately, the start time will depend on how many teams join. If we have a whole bunch of teams, we might have to start early. If there's only a few, maybe we'll sleep in. We'll see. That information will be published and you'll find out several weeks before convention. But plan to be there and compete on the 3rd of November. If you can't be there, don't have to worry about the competition. Then next step, register. Up towards the top of that same page, there's a register button. Hit that, and that'll take you into the open water system, which is what ACI uses to register to register you and keep track of documents. If you have any trouble with that, there's a walkthrough on the student's main page. Or if you have any other problems, reach out to Jaden. His contact information is down at the bottom of this page, also at the bottom of the rules page. So you can reach out. The other important document that you're going to need to submit is the official mixed design spreadsheet. You can get to that by clicking that official forms button down where I've got the other red arrow pointing. Click that, and that will grab the spreadsheet in Excel format, and you'll need that. When you're going through the rules, if there's questions you have that come up, first step, check that FAQ, the facts. There's a blue button for that as well. Likely there's a similar question that's come up in the past and it might already be answered there. But if it hasn't, that's fine. You can submit your question and we usually get back, I believe within a week. We get things back once a week. ACI will collect everything that's been submitted, send it to the to us judges. We'll review it, get a response back, and have your question answered. The rules do try to be thorough and list everything. Biggest is know the dates. Section 8 of the rules spells out exactly when things are due. Late entries, especially very late entries, might not be accepted. At a very minimum, they'll likely receive penalties. And that's partly because in order to give you the most possible time to work on your submissions and trials or whatever you might have, we've really made that submission date close to convention. So all of us judges have to go through all of the submissions in that small window of time prior to convention. So there isn't much room for late entries, and still get all that work done. Yeah. So please respect the dates. Thank you. Those are set and the submissions are due on the 21st of October, about 2 weeks before convention. Make sure you pay the meatiest part of the rules. Is really section 2, which is materials. That talks about the different materials you can use, give some guidance on there as far as the mix goes, talks about maximum aggregate size. That's a big one. We allow an aggregate size up to 16 millimeters or 5/8 of an inch in nominal size. Mixes with really large aggregates have big voids, but they don't have a lot of contact between the particles, so they usually aren't very strong. And in extreme cases, if the voids are too big, even if you use the right size aggregate and we can't get a seal when we're trying to test it for infiltration, we won't be able to test it. And your material won't have a value. So it'll essentially be disqualified. So watch your void sizes, try to make a nice balanced mix. I've got some pictures coming up here of some examples of that. You do have to do a gradation of your mix as part of your mix design submittal. So all of that is spelled out here. So what will you bring to competition? You'll bring 2 specimens that you make of your mix made at the same time. They'll be 102 millimeters, which is 4 inches, by 152 millimeters, which is 6 inches. So a typical the best way to make that, we think, would be to cast a standard 100 by 200 millimeter specimen, a 4x8, and then cut the top and the bottom off. The reason we do that is sometimes when you're working in the lab and compacting and vibrating and moving the cylinders around, the paste can kind of migrate a little bit. And so it'll kind of concentrate at the bottom and make the top more porous, I guess. So it reduces some of the variability by removing that top and bottom portions of your specimen. So that's why it's smaller than, just 100 by 200. It's because the top and bottom have been cut off. When you do register at convention, you will then wrap your specimen. The judges will take care of that and test it for infiltration. That's this device on the left here. We'll do a falling head test on it and time how long it takes for the water to go through your sample. And then we'll put it in the machine on the right and do a split tensile test on it. There is another category. Those both weigh into the performance category of the competition. There's a third or a second, I'm sorry, category that's being awarded, which is called Best in Show. So what is this Best in Show? Members of the industry look at the submissions and grade them. It's what do you think is the best one? So what are we looking for? We're looking for something with good paste. It's something that realistically us as industry would say, wow, I'd be proud to call this my Pervious. So it's a little hard to gauge. There's some examples here. The one on the left, these are both similar gradation, similar aggregate size, good looking Pervious, but the one on the left, you can kind of see there's kind of some voids between the aggregates where they're touching. So even though they're in contact, there's no bridges, there's no connection between them. So the sample won't be as durable as the one on the right. There's not quite enough paste to hold all the different aggregates together. So we'd say it's paste starved. So a little bit more water, a little bit more cement in the mix might have helped. The one on the right, though, has a great paste structure, well distributed, and it's consistent from top to bottom. So when you are putting it into place, if all the paste is draining down, you have an unstable paste, it's going to clog at the bottom and then not be very durable at the top because everything drained down. And you don't want that. So you want a well-distributed top to bottom. That's evidence of a good sticky paste, well-distributed paste. And then we weigh in with, we're taking into account the infiltration tests and the splitting tensile as well. But it's more a visual, take a look at things and see what it looks like. So yeah, that's the Best in Show. This is probably a good time to mention at the same time some general Pervious how do you design a mix? What are you looking for? So you can do to make something really pervious, you can add a whole bunch of voids to it. However, there's a trade-off. So the more voids you have, the less strength you have, and it becomes weaker, right? If you get something too weak, you're going to become less durable. It's going to lose durability. So there's a balance there. There's a trade-off. You need to have enough voids for the water to go through, but not too many to where you start to lose durability and strength. So that's the trade-off in making good pervious. And in our competition is checking both of those variables. So where do we see the most mistakes? Actually, it's in the mix design. That's one of the things we talk about in the rules and bring up is that you really want to have an industry mentor or member. Take a look at your mix if you can. Reach out to someone locally in the industry who's seen Pervious, a professor, somebody who has a little bit of experience with the material, because it is different than standard concrete. Um, the biggest is not counting voids as part of your volume of your mix. In order to get interconnected voids that pass water, typically you need at least 15% voids in your concrete. Once you get over about 30% voids, the concrete doesn't hold together. It's almost becomes a pile of rocks at that point. So don't forget your voids at 20% of your mix. It's a large portion of your volume. So your yield will not be accurate at all if you don't include voids. Also, especially for US teams, we are using metric. So there's a second page of this Excel sheet. It's just meant to be helpful for the teams who aren't used to working in metric to convert US units to metric units. It's not required as part of the submittal. So all you metric teams, you don't have to worry about that second tab. It's just meant to be helpful. It's just this first page that matters. Don't forget to list all of your products, and then follow the submittal requirements, for what's required. Basically sheets, submittal sheets, specifications, text sheets that are required as part of your submittal package, which is another item that sometimes causes penalties, is that if you do have something unique to your area, we've seen this in with some of the products that are specific to Mexico, where they're really only sold there. So some of the data sheets for the product are only in Spanish. See if you can find one that's in English, since the report is in English. If you can't, we understand. Highlight that in your submittal document. Just let us know, because obviously we'll have to find a member of the judging team to translate for us. I believe that is the majority of what we had. The biggest things from the committee are try to get your an industry mentor, somebody from industry involved, somebody who's seen Pervious, especially to take a look at your mix design. Don't forget to include voids in your overall volume. It should yield to 1 cubic meter in volume. The other item, now that I think about it, that does sometimes pop up is up here. There's the batch size. Your batch size is just a question of how big of a batch, how much concrete did you make to make your specimens that you end up submitting. So usually it's nowhere near 1 cubic meter. That would be a really big batch. You need a truck. Usually it's I don't know, a much smaller amount of that, whatever that happens to be. So yeah, just list that, date your cylinders, your specimens were cast, and then your density, your theoretic density. That doesn't have to be a measured density, but it could be calculated from your theoretic density is calculated from your mix design. So what the density should be. So where we use that is that should be pretty close to what you get for your specimens. So that's one of the checks we'll do to make sure nobody's trying to sneak some material in or mess something up somewhere. So we'll check that. We calculate the density of your specimens you submit and check it versus what it should be from your mix design. Is this the same stuff that you're saying you're submitting? Yeah. Like I said, that's the majority of the main issues. Um, if anything else comes up and they aren't answered in the FAQs, be sure to reach out to ACI and we'll get those answered. But yeah, does anyone have any questions that they're aware of now? Go ahead and submit them, and yeah, we'll give a few minutes there for in case you have anything. Yeah, we this is usually a pretty well attended, participated competition. It's a lot of fun. Exciting watching how fast some of the specimens drain. Uh, you can have anything from 2 minutes to for the water to pass through, and we've had some as fast as 4 seconds. Just water goes through like that. Which at that point you've probably traded some durability and strength in order to have that kind of a flow. Uh, Maybe not practical, but it's still fun to watch. And that's why we did dye the water too. It's a little easier to see. Yeah, we should have a lot of fun in Philadelphia. Hopefully we'll get a lot of teams and see a lot of different mixes, and hopefully everybody will learn a little bit about Pervious concrete. Oh, actually that does remind me. I didn't mention we'll have office hours, we'll call them, uh, after the um, student session on Monday. So we run the competition on Sunday, and then the awards are given out. The winners are announced on Monday, midday at the student. I always want to call it the student lunch. It was the student lunch forever. I believe it's just the student awards ceremony now. Uh, but yeah, come to that. Get a ticket for that. Um, that's where we have a speaker, and then we'll have the awards given out. At the very end of that, we'll have members of the committee available to answer questions if you have any specific for half an hour. Um, Curious about penalties that you might have gotten, anything. We'll be there to answer questions. Yeah, if there aren't any questions now, yeah, hope to see you in Philadelphia in a few months. I'm actually heading there this weekend. ASTM has their uh, next convention there now. Well, that's all I've got. Thank you for coming, and yeah, thanks again to ACI for giving us this opportunity to talk to everybody and um, introduce you to the competition. And good luck.
Thank you so much, Walter.
Thank you, Jade.
I don't see any questions yet, so I do think we are set. Yeah, I think we're all set to go. Appreciate everything, Walter. If anyone
Thank
has
you.
any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to myself or Walter. I think, yep, and we are all set. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for
Here's everybody.
attending.